did anybody today watch? Did anybody see Shawn Levy's comments in his Collider interview?
Yes.
I saw some stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for the chat and for anybody watching later, I'm going to read it real quick. At least the parts of it I have here. So this was from Shawn Levy on Collider earlier today, I believe. He said, for one thing, when he was asked, I believe the question he was asked was, how does this fit in as far as where it fits in the story or how it connects to previous Star Wars? So for one thing, it's different in that it's an all new, it's all new, non-sequel, non-prequel adventure. It's new characters. It's a new timeline. It inherits legacy themes, but it's really trying to give Star Wars fans and just movie audiences something fresh, something new, and with a spirit of play and big-hearted adventure with moments of real levity that, frankly, A New Hope had in a revolutionary way. We're trying to sort of take that tone as a North Star every day. My crew, my DP, Claudio Miranda, Gosling is my kind of central collaborator in the lead role. It's certainly been a dream come true. And I'm going to stop there. But, I mean, for me, he said a lot of the things that I wanted to hear.
But isn't he contradicting himself from when the first image came up or even before the first image? I thought this was supposed to be kind of the introduction to Rey's school and it's connected to the sequels and yada.
So there are, I don't know where that originated. I know that the stuff with, about a month ago, some YouTubers started pushing this idea that Shawn Levy was being forced to sidestep this project into a Rey movie. Now look, I mean, here's the thing. We're setting this 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. I think it makes perfect sense if we run into Rey or if she's name dropped. Like, I mean, it kind of bothered me if she, if we didn't get some known characters dropped in here somewhere. I mean, but I don't think he's contradicting himself because I don't believe he ever made a statement about this involving Rey, her school. I mean, it could, but I think that he's being pretty clear in that it's not a Rey movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know where that quote or whatever came from.
It didn't come from him. I'm not sure where it came from. And when there were some YouTubers that started pushing that real heavy that, oh, this is just a bait and switch for a Rey film.
Mm.
And I have looked and can't find anything.
And I don't, I remember it not being a bait and switch for the actual Rey movie. I think what I read was that it was going to be an introduction to the Rey storyline because the kid that Gosling is supposed to transport to was going to be transported to Rey's school, and that would be the beginning of that whole spiel.
So it's basically exactly like season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah.
Which I hope isn't true because we already saw that.
Exactly.
I mean, if the end goal is to get to this Jedi Academy, I mean, yes, it's a similarity, but the story doesn't have to be anything like that story.
That's true.
I mean, we're 5 years after, and the thing is, we talked about this earlier, we're at a place where, as much as I sometimes just wish they could take the sequel trilogy and go, yep, we didn't do that. Just pretend it doesn't exist and let's start over.
Seems unlikely.
That's not going to happen. It's just not. And so we have this.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I completely agree. I much want them to, accept what's done and then continue on forward. I was commenting on Rose Post last week, something about Duel of the Fates, and saying that I really like what that script did as opposed to what we actually got with The Rise of Skywalker, just because of the precedent of it didn't spend half the movie of pissing on what came before and actually told a new story. And so, I hope that this new era that we get into with whatever this Rey stuff is, sure, I'm not particularly excited for that idea, I'm I don't know, I'm open to it,
Right.
Starfighter right now is one of those movies that I'm not sure that I could say I'm excited for, just because it's like, as he kind of talked about, like that premise is like we've seen it before, but I'm open to it, and I hope it's something that catches me. I'm going to go into it with an open mind.
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
I
think I'm more excited about this movie than I am for the Mando Grogu movie, because the Mando Grogu movie just seems like more of the same.
Well, I'm excited about the Mando and Grogu movie, but I feel like I know exactly what I'm getting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and that's fine. And I don't think that it's. I expect it to be a good film. It's Jon Favreau making it. I expect a good, summer blockbuster film. Whether it's certainly not going to be the movie that like brings Star Wars back to its rightful place at the top. Right. It's not that. It's for fans of the show. And I expect a good film, but I don't expect it to be
Groundbreaking in any
yeah.
way.
And
right.
Starfighter still kind of a mystery. And the things that do excite me is that Shawn Levy is a fantastic filmmaker. Claudio Miranda is an incredible DP. So I'm expecting a visually stunning film between those two.
And I do prefer, we're really trying to hone in on the feel of A New Hope as opposed to, for example, we're going to subvert everyone's expectations.
Yeah, and what I heard from Shawn Levy today was that he very much wants to make something in the spirit of what he saw when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
In the original 3 movies, and that's my ultimate takeaway from what he said, is that he wants to recapture that magic. And so I think there's some things combining here. I mean, you can get into conversations about, well, should they hire super famous actors in lead roles in Star Wars or not. I mean, obviously bringing in Gosling, but at this point, like, maybe for this film you needed a name. I mean, I don't think names sell movies like they used to, but obviously, I mean, they call Tom Cruise the last movie star for a reason. But if there's another name out there that's going to put a few extra people in the seats, it's Ryan Gosling is not a bad choice. And he's a good actor. I've never seen him do anything quite like what we should see here, but I'm excited about that because I think he'll dive fully into it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it, and we have seen a lot of things. It seems like everything has been like really tied to. We had tied to something that came before, right? The Mandalorian, for a minute, was sort of its own thing. It was sort of independent, but pretty much everything we've seen in Star Wars for a long time has been either a prequel or a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, honestly, I think it would be good to kind of take a breath, because the sequel thing was not firing on all cylinders, and I think it would be good to let it breathe for a minute and do something. I'm hoping that this will be something that can be Star Wars without maybe being quite so burdened with all of the dialogue around the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, or derivative. And I think, do you guys feel like post sequel trilogy, it just seems like all of Star Wars lately has been structured in a way where the CEOs and CFOs say, look, the fans seem to like cute little rubber puppets. Let's make a movie about this. Or look, these fans like a romance between Rey and Ben. Let's do a movie about this.
Yeah.
I feel like the, and Filoni and Favreau have done this a little bit, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm more excited about Starfighter, because it does feel like, oh, this is kind of like breaking the mold of what we've seen before. Like Marisha was saying, it's not derivative, it's not dependent on what came before. they're going to be telling a new story. There's going to be some new stuff and new characters. Oh, okay. I think that's what we wanted from the get-go. But we've gotten kind of a rehash of what Disney thinks that Star Wars fans want, a rehash of A New Hope, a retelling of this story or that story. And I think that's why people have been like, I know you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle and kind of recoup your $4.2 billion, but this is not the way.
Yeah. I don't know. I still feel like, and I'll go back to the Acolyte. I feel like when Star Wars, the people at Lucasfilm, when they listen to the fans, they're listening to the ones they approve of.
Yes, exactly.
The Acolyte, when you've got the Star Wars YouTube channel showing up in certain shows chats and interacting, sending them gift baskets, like all the talk about for all the people that have been calling y'all shills, now you're literally taking the payoff.
Right. Yeah.
You're like that's fine if you want to do that, but like we can't fully trust what you say now.
Exactly.
And
hotel.
But that was a dog whistle of saying we're here in this chat. This is an approved. This
show.
Is a Lucasfilm approved YouTuber.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that was. And so I feel like it's like David likes to say on the podcast, like studios will learn the wrong thing more often than not.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
They learn the wrong lesson.
Yeah. And it seems like they doubled down on that whole, Star Wars approved YouTuber, shows. They did it for the hotels. They brought all the people to the Star Wars hotel and told everybody it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then that, the hotel closed down and it failed. And, the Acolyte, everybody got some swag.
Yeah.
Not everybody. I'm still waiting for my Acolyte towels.
Right. We all know how much you love that show, obviously.
Yeah, they should have sent me some stuff.
It's so weird because like the more that they sort of really favored certain narratives about Star Wars, officially sanctioned, independent reviewers, like the more vitriol came from the we hate everything crowd. And it's like it almost became like a moment where you couldn't find anybody who was like either they were like shilling for Disney or they were like hating everything for clicks. And it was really hard there for a minute to find anything that was like,
tell me about it.
What do you really think about things,
Yeah. And that's why, I was just talking to one of our followers, Dan, about that specific thing, because, when we first started in 2019, The Last Jedi was kind of still a hot topic, and we said our piece about The Last Jedi, and then we got certain attention from certain, infamous YouTubers to come and join our group. And we're like, no, we're not sheep. We have our own thoughts. We're not going to, cement our identity in hating one film. We're going to move on. Thank you very much. Yeah. But then you got the all Star Wars is good people that also didn't like us for that specific reason, because we had our own thoughts and our own brains and our own opinions. So,
that's kind of been the beauty of the network. Red 5 is there's never been any, like, we have plenty of disagreements on each other's shows about a lot of this stuff, and there's never been any pressure to toe any particular line.
Right. But then when there was, we surely recognized it and yanked that chain and out of here.
Let's see. Gannon had something I wanted to pull up here. So he said Star Wars has lost its sense of adventure. We had that in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and somewhat in the sequel trilogy to a minor degree until that happened. And look, I agree with that to an extent, but I think that what we had this year and I keep saying this, but with even though Andor is, I guess it's derivative in a way in that it's a prequel to Rogue One and the original trilogy. but
prequel to the prequel, exactly.
but it also, it really thought outside the box and did its own thing, even though it had a point it had to lead up to. And then as far as just that sense of magic and adventure, that's what Skeleton Crew did so well.
Absolutely. Completely surprised me and Brad. Brad and I, sorry.
So now, kind of this sort of sense that they've started to recapture in some of the TV shows, the thing is, they've got to do it in a movie. They have to capture that adventure and that wonder and that just that spirit that Star Wars starts with.
Sure.
I mean, and it's great to do it on a Disney Plus show, but they have got to do it in a movie because
they need it.
They can make all the best shows in the world, but until they make a really good Star Wars movie, the brand is going to continue to suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, I think, what made Star Wars what it is, was that singular vision and the adaptation of fables and lessons that George kind of relied on. And I think he deconstructed these lessons in a way that captured the imagination of young people everywhere, and not just pigeonholed himself by, curtailing to one aspect of the fandom. It was a lot more universal. And I think these themes, these archetypes, these characters were popular for a reason, because everybody seemed to connect to one aspect of Star Wars or another. And that's what captured our attention. That's what brought us in. And I think Star Wars has lost that under Disney.
Yeah. I mean,
because they just want to make money. It turned into and obviously, we know that filmmaking and movies are a product, but there's an art to making that product artsy. Obviously, Star Wars did it for sure. But now, under the guise of Disney, under the ownership of Disney, I think they treat Star Wars more like a product than any company ever did.
I actually, you really, I think, have made an excellent point about, kind of Star Wars was sort of like summarizing a lot of things, right? It was summarizing a lot of kind of adventure stories and fables. And I feel like maybe Star Wars it started to be like, how do we recreate Star Wars? How do we make more of that thing, but not, they don't have any sort of grasp on the things that all the pieces that came together to make Star Wars originally what it was. Like they don't understand the source material. They've just studied Star Wars, but they haven't studied all the things that went into making Star Wars what it is.
It's like copying the Mona Lisa pixel per pixel. It's just going to be a fake. It's just going to be a copy without understanding the brushstrokes behind it. You're never going to get it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is Lucas connected with something that, sort of universal storytelling, the same way that we connect with myths and things like that, folk tales and that tell more universally connective stories, things that we just inherently understand, whether it's Luke being pulled away from his home or if even go into the prequels and watching Anakin fall away from the light. And I think those universal truths and yes, I think Marisha's right. I think it would for a lot of the people that are making Star Wars, they would be it would do them good to not just study Star Wars, but to study the things that Star Wars came from. Whether it be Kurosawa films or Buck Rogers or even the spiritual narratives that Lucas pulls on as he tells this story. In fact, I feel like often there's a lot of missing the point with the spirituality in Star Wars. I feel like that's the biggest sin of the Acolyte is that it doesn't understand the spirituality of Star Wars at all.
Yeah. And I feel like the episode, Spencer, that you were talking, that first episode of Visions, like I think that it's really interesting that they, kind of are unencumbered. In some ways they can tell their own stories, but that was one example. I was like, I feel like it was like, I don't think I think we're missing the whole concept of like good and bad here.
Yeah.
This story. I think we kind of like missed it.
There's a lot of that in Visions, actually, across the board in Visions. If I'm looking for things I like, now I haven't seen the new season, but if I'm looking for things I like about Star Wars Visions, it's playing with the different art styles. Like Ro mentioned earlier, a lot of the music's been really good in a lot of the Vision stuff. Story-wise, it's been real hit or miss, and more miss than hit for me. And I know
I feel
it's
like
not
the first season was a little more.
I did enjoy a lot more of the first season. The first season, there was like a couple where I was like, I don't know what they were doing there. I feel like by season 2, I felt like season 2 felt a little rushed. Like,
honestly, I don't remember most of it.
Oh, I love season 2 better than season 1.
Well, I need to revisit all of it.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been for me. I mean, and I'm fine with that. Like,
I've enjoyed it being an experimental thing. The last thing you, Baldo, said, I really like that. Saying Star Wars Visions is fantastic when you let creators give their views on Star Wars, because it just lets you, we're talking about being boxed in Star Wars, and Visions is kind of that, but then also at the same time we're seeing Star Wars twisted in these all new creative ways. And I really like I love all of it, or really like Visions as a whole, but season 1, it was boxed into me because it was all about Jedis, every single thing. And so when I binged that whole first season, those last few episodes, not that they're bad, but it just kind of got annoying, because it's like, well, we've seen this story, but it just happened. I literally just saw the same story 6 times in a row, but it's just painted differently. And so what I really liked about season 2 was that it was different with the different sorts of stories that it told. And I think season 2, yeah.
They're like, there should be different kinds of stories.
No, I agree with that. I feel like, and I know it's not meant to be Star Wars exactly. It's these companies taking it and then doing their version. But at the same time, I kind of struggle with it because a lot of it is not really Star Wars. It's anime with a Star Wars skin.
Right.
And so for me, I kind of go, okay, like, it's fun. I get it, but maybe it's just not for me.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah. Everything isn't everybody's thing.
Yeah. All right. So anybody have any last thoughts before we wrap up on any of the things we covered?
Spencer needs to go to Target and pick up some empty Tupperwares for those shelves back there. And if you need, I can help you guys.
It's bothering you, huh, Rob?
My wife has trained me so well.
That's what wives are for. Be like, no, you can't do that.
Thing is Ro can, on my screen, you can see this. You can't see the rest of the room.
This is true.
This tiny room is where all of my hobbies live, and so
he has a lot of hobbies.
We could turn the camera 90 degrees and do a hunting show over here. How to work on your firearm. It's just all piled in here on top of me. But Spencer, what have you got coming up on your channel? Anything coming up soon?
Yeah, on Friday, I'll be releasing a new video, talk about Wonder Woman Dead Earth comic. I've been trying to do weekly video uploads, as well as on Saturdays. I have a Smallville show I do with not this Andrew, but Andrew Haley, where we talk about Smallville. And so that's been a good time, as it's both of our first time watching it, and so we're early on in season 1 still. So this week we'll be talking about episode 6, and also this weekend I'll be recording a special video I'll be dropping on Thanksgiving, which is a Batman The Long Halloween issue 2 titled Thanksgiving, where it's a voiced over like comic dub read through that me and friends get together for. And so we dropped the first issue on Halloween, The Long Halloween, and we're dropping the next one on Thanksgiving and recording it. And so that's a really fun project that I'm starting to do more, just something different to put out there, which has been a lot of fun. with we kind of did like a test stream with it, and then we did the first actual one, and we have Thanksgiving coming out and hoping to get out all of them on each of the holidays.
Okay.
Nice.
That's awesome.
What about you, Ray? What's coming up on Scarif?
Well, Brad and I just dropped a new episode on Thursday. We've been having a lot of fun with our top 5 series. So Thursday we talked about our favorite top 5 sci-fi fantasy television shows or series. And Brad does something interesting. He brings in the AI list. So we'll go through our list and then we'll mention what AI thinks their top 5 is. So that's really cool. We did a Halloween show, top 5 spooky movies. We did our top 5 favorite Marvel movies. And then we did a top 5 most perfect movies. So like I said, yeah, we're having fun with our top 5 stuff.
Yeah.
I think this week we're going to be recording top 5 most terrible Star Wars characters. And that is a suggestion from probably one of our very first listeners, Ollie K.
Okay.
And he must have been, he's probably like our first or second listener ever back in 2019.
He's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, our top 5 worst Star Wars characters. Yeah.
And the list might surprise you. The list might surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so we will be looking forward to that. I'm excited. I like the top 5 shows. That's kind of, we did stuff similar with the Mount Rushmore
Those
series.
are fun conversations.
They are. You get
it's
open,
so subjective,
Well, and you kind of open a window where you get a look at the other person you might not have gotten otherwise.
Exactly. Our top 5. This last one, it's always difficult to pick the top 5, and especially kind of comparing it to your co-host. I learned a lot about Brad. A lot of my top 5 favorite sci-fi series were older, just because of the nostalgia, perspective, and I guess the reference to and the cultural significance too of the shows.
Yeah.
A lot of Brad's stuff was a lot newer. So it was kind of interesting to kind of hear what Brad had to say about all of his selections. A lot of fun. It's always a great conversation.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, we'll be doing this again next week. So if you're in the chat tonight and you want to jump on the show next week, definitely hit me up and I'll make sure I get you a link next week to join us. Probably going to be doing this at least shooting for doing this on Monday nights, not Tuesday nights, but we will see where that goes. Other things coming up. I'm not real sure. We don't have anything specifically planned. We're back to doing the audio show with David. Eventually I'm gonna get David to start doing some YouTube stuff with us too, but we're doing the audio show. And as soon as we get him to take a break from making Christmas decor, then we will record another episode, hopefully later this week. But that's going to do it for, I'm going to change something real quick. I got the wrong thing set for my outro, so I'm going to fix that. Nope. All right.
Not the right thing there.
All right.
Got it fixed.
Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Ro, for joining us for this episode. And thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat. And until next time, may the force be with you.